What's going on, everybody? Snowski here, coming back with another YouTube video. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend. Of course, making this video currently on Sunday, March 8th, 1:09 p.m. New York local time. Guys, how are we doing, man? I hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend. Of course, coming into today's video, it's been a while, man. A lot of people have been actually DMing me, asking me for more and more content. Well, let me just break this down. So I've been away for almost 2 weeks now. I've currently been on some trips. I went to Florida. I went on 2 snowboarding trips. So it's been a very busy few past weeks. And with that, haven't necessarily had time for YouTube videos. But of course, I still want to make content. I'm not giving up on you guys. I still want to be producing more and more free content every single day as much as possible. So coming into today's video, we're going to be covering kind of a little late delay, I guess you could say, a late trade recap to Friday's NFP executions. As you can see, I currently don't have any of the executions on here simply due to the fact that, well, it's Sunday, all the executions are off, and I'm also signed out of my TradeAway accounts. But we could see posted within my Collectors Club Inner Circle group, my Snowski wins, my executions, where I bought 4 micros, sold 4 micros, coming into 30-minute power of 3, and my trade execution profits, the total group P&L for 2 accounts. So coming into today, what are we going to be talking about? And I want you guys to very much so be in depth listening to today's lecture. Okay, we're going to be covering some very good things today regarding 30-minute power of 3, what made me try to execute on today's position, or I guess you could say Friday's position, and what I guess influenced me to profit $2,000 on my group P&L longing NQ. So coming into today's bias, I keep saying today, but mainly, Friday, what exactly was I looking at? So talked about inside of Collectors Club, my 100% free Discord server, I posted something inside of the Snowski forecast coming, when was this? The 4th. So I guess you could say from Friday, it was 2 days prior, right? It was on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, I spoke about the different instances of how this week was specifically going to play out. And we could see here exactly what my annotations were. I was looking for, coming into the pretty much opening of Thursday and then into Friday, those 2 days were going to complete us a 1-hour market maker sell model. Now, obviously, if you guys are unfamiliar with market maker sell models and how to utilize and pretty much understand the criterias behind them, I have tons of free content regarding that. I actually have a free WAP, 100% free, in the description below, where you can find the MMXM study guide that I actually broke down within my Snowski outlooks long time ago, and you guys can get very informed by that. But coming into today, I was expecting that coming into our distribution and Friday's function of our weekly power of 3 to expect a market maker sell model to complete. So coming into the remaining 2 days, my exact narrative was understanding, okay, coming into Thursday was likely to give us our SMR and first stage redistribution, and our second stage and unicorn was going to happen coming into Friday. Obviously, understanding that we are looking at our 1-hour charts right now, we can visibly see that ES was the leading asset here. So I want you guys to constantly keep reminding yourselves of this, is understanding, guys, we are always moving within a correlated triad, right? And what's the key things that we always want to be referencing to when we are pretty much predicting and assuming reversal and pivots is desynchronization tools, not only time-based SMTs such as sequentials, but significant SMTs. Now, what exactly describes or goes under the criteria of a significant SMT? Well, it's not necessarily time-based, right? We understand sequentials are different. So what's the difference between sequentials and significant SMTs? Well, it goes into the basis of, okay, let's see here. How can a level of significance and a cracking correlation be correlated? All right, so I want you to think of it like this. Market maker models or market maker profiles, sell models, buy profiles, whatever that may be. In this instance, 1-hour market maker sell model, we can see that the entire sell model was a 1-hour sell model. But due to the assets being correlated and constantly proving desynchronizations or significant SMTs, we want to see, okay, If our clear liquidity pool, our most significant draw, is the original consolidation low on NQ, but the same level on NQ that ES creates gets pretty much, I guess you could say, swept, and NQ making a failure swing, right? We can actually see, if we want to, range out this entire range, we could see NQ stops in OTE of the weekly range. So you're using this almost as bullish sensitivity here. Okay, so this is all going to be leading into what I guess forced me to take longs coming into 30-minute power of 3, as some people were confused, is the understanding of our higher time frame narrative, right? A lot of people that use QT, we always want to be referencing to external sequentials. And now understanding that we didn't necessarily have any external sequentials at low of the day to pretty much signify a reversal back into the range, what told me that we were very, very likely to get back into the range is two things. One, power of 3. Right, I want you guys to think of a power of 3 candle. The power of 3 will always have a slight expansion back up into the range for the closing price of any power of 3 duration. So now thinking of a weekly power of 3. If NQ pretty much closed as like a, I guess you could say, doji candle, but ES, on the other hand, made a majority of the move during the unicorn model below the market and proved SMT with the OCL, right, original consolidation low. This is saying that, okay, if the weekly draw, which I vividly stated within the Snowski forecast, is my clear draw on liquidity for this week is the OCL, right? And due to ES purging the original consolidation low, this proves that the week is likely to have a closing price for the last day, right? Remember, you're in Friday. Think of basic TGIF. You're going to have a slight retrace back into the range to have a closing price for the weekly power of 3 candle. So what is the first thing that my eye is jumping to immediately? The second that opening bell hits, the second that NFP is spooling us below the market, and ES and YM run the stops of the OCL, and NQ's proving bullish sensitivity on OTE of the weekly range, it's simply saying we're going to have a closing price, very likely, into the weekly range, or at least the daily profile, right? Understanding the entire day was moving very, very aggressively during Asia and London with no necessarily external sequential. Now, there was a hidden DC at the very high, if you guys are familiar with QT concepts, but you understand hidden doesn't necessarily signify a protected stop, meaning it's a clear drawn price, meaning this entire range is considered a insignificant range and very likely to get retested before attempting lower prices. So understanding that we have SMT at OCL, OTE, bullish sensitivity on the weekly range, and we're expecting a closing price for the weekly power of 3, my bias immediately jumps to bullish sensitivity. I want to see the markets present higher prices coming into, well, the day's profile. Now, of course, 30-minute power of 3, if you guys are unfamiliar with how to utilize 30-minute power of 3, it's very, very simple. Right? Think of any other power of 3. There are rules when it comes into QT terms, but it is as simple as open, manipulate, distribute. That's as simple as it is. So understanding that we opened, which I'm going to draw out for you guys just so you guys can get a visual representation. We opened, we manipulated below the market. Now understand, I break this down all the time. What is something that always confirms manipulation is complete, whether that's an internal or external level power of 3? It is simply cracking correlations, right? We like, as QT traders, sequentials, right? We like to use and adapt to time-based SMTs. So what do we have below the market? Well, really confirmed here, but I guess you could say the lowest low was between that additional microcycle. But we had a microcycle sequential, right, below our 930 opening price, but way before this, we even had a hidden microcycle. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be breaking that down. That is simply behind a paid wall, but if you guys are familiar with that, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So we had doubling bullish micros, right? We had a bullish 90, bullish 90. I'm talking so fast today, guys. Bear with me. Bullish hidden micro, followed by an additional sequential SMT microcycle below 930 opening price, which is confirming that, okay, if our higher time frame SMT with the original consolidation low is proven, and it's proving that we're likely to get bullish sensitivity here for a closing of the weekly range, I want to look on the entire side of the market that fell over in the entire, I guess you could say, daily profile, and I want to look for clear draws on liquidity. Now, what exactly was my clear draw on liquidity? What chose for me to actually close my position all the way up here was simply due to the fact of true opening prices. So if you guys are unfamiliar with QT references to true opens, right? If you think of SMC, it's more of key opens, right? The daily opening, the weekly opening, but true opens are session openings in regards to quarters, all right? It's always the second quarter of any, cycle you're moving within. So if we understand that there's going to be multiple true openings that are in need of validation when it comes to really any trade, what is one thing that we want to constantly reference to is the understanding of, okay, if all true opens are very, very important, right? We could see true micro session, true New York, true day, all of these true opening prices are going to be very, very similar. And what exactly do I mean by that is when we're moving between our triad, let me ask you something. Just stated before, what always confirms manipulations? Right? You're probably going to say cracking correlations. So if we understand sequential time-based SMTs are very likely to confirm a given opening price, I want you guys to think, okay? If true day opening, and this is something that I actually talk a lot about behind the paid wall, there's more to it. I'm not going to be breaking down everything, but I, of course, want to give you guys some gems. If true day references to the daily opening, right? True day opening, and you think of a daily cycle sequential, that's found on what? The 15-minute time frame. So if we understand a 15-minute cracking correlation confirms true day opening price, right? Such as a DC sequential, if a DC SSMT or a hidden DC SSMT, which we had at high of the day above, true day opening price, confirms true day, let's kind of reverse engineer here, okay? True New York. True New York is referring to the second quarter of 90-minute cycles. So if we understand that, 90-minute cycles are found on what time frame? 5-minute, okay? Which basically states that you need a 5-minute cracking correlation above True New York to validate lower prices. So if we have an opening price right here, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to reference to the 5-minute chart, so this is just a lot easier for you guys to see. If we opened up, and what I'm doing is I'm actually hovering over the middle of the left 90-minute and the right 90-minute. As you can see down here in the middle boxes, this is a 90-minute and this is a 90-minute cycle, okay? So if we understand that we want to see a 5-minute cracking correlation, which is reference to a 90-minute sequential, above True New York to validate lower delivery, right? Because traditionally my bias was shorts down to the OCL, but what happened is ES ran those stops, right? That's immediately telling me SMT with OCL, OTE of weekly range, possible bullish sensitivity here. I want to see a retracement back into the range for weekly power of 3. What is my draw on liquidity? Well, it's not just a random pool of liquidity. It's not just a random level that I'm just guessing out of my ass. No, it has to make sense. And this is something I always break down. We're not moving based off of emotions. We're moving based off of logic. Okay, so if logically here, we're looking for key levels that are unvalidated, right? And what exactly does that mean? Unmitigated, right? I want you guys to reference to Devil's Mark. Power of threes. Power of 3 Devil's Mark basically is the study of a manipulation lacking in a sense, right? Think of it like that, meaning it's not necessarily power of 3, it's either power of 2 or power of 1, meaning it's lacking a significant manipulation. It's just spooling with zero manipulation, right? It's very hard. Now within Devil's Mark, we can either target it or we can use it as bullish and bearish sensitivity. But in this sense, due to us looking for bullish sensitivity, True New York is considered a Devil's Mark. Why? Yes, we pumped above it, but what didn't happen above it was 0 5-minute cracking correlations, specifically 90-minute sequentials, all right? Because sequential SMTs are going to prove reversals based off of time. So if we have no 90-minute sequential above True New York and then we dip below True New York, proven by bullish sensitivity below True New York, that makes it even more clear that True New York is going to get reattempted. Right? That's exactly how I went within my bias. That's exactly what I was telling my inner circle students in my pre-market commentary, simply for the understanding that, okay, we're breaking down a day. And guys, this goes for literally every single day. So I want you guys to be breaking this down. Leave comments and questions if you guys have. Put this in your notes. If we are proving bullish sensitivity on our higher time frames with our 1 hour market maker sell model, OCL's hit, ES. Inside of OTE, the weekly range, we're expecting a retracement for not only TGIF, but our weekly power of 3 closing price, right? We want to see what are potential drawbacks. True New York, devil's mark. Why? Because there's no 90-minute to prove that this is distribution. There's nothing proving that this is manipulation or this is distribution, which means devil's mark. Remember, everything opposing to the opening price with a lack of manipulation is manipulation. So this entire run right here, manipulation. This pump, distribution. Now you can see where I'm getting at. So coming into my morning price, what was I looking for? I was simply looking for 30-minute power of 3, open, low, high, close. We opened, manipulated lower, hit in microcycle, started pumping aggressively. That is where I took my long off of the 1 minute change in state, but then off of that we put in an additional microcycle, which then validated us an additional change in state, which obviously got retested. Model 2022 here we can see. Now, a lot of people would ask, why is this the additional change in state? It's due to ES and YM doing the damage. As everybody knows, change of states and deliveries, ICT concept, is when a purge of liquidity is taken, SMTs are proven, and reversals are starting. So we could see that this is pretty much, I guess you could say, this last candle was the traditional cracking correlation off the hidden micro, the 1 minute change in state on NQ. But when ES and YM kept attempting lower lows, and proved an additional microcycle, that's, as you can see, the last bullish order block. So right there we can see that's the more normalized change in state, which I see a lot of people would try to probably enter off of this one instead of the other one. But of course, I had enough confluences. So I had my internal sequentials, 30-minute power of 3 proven. I had a clear draw in mind, which was True New York. Bread and butter. That's what it was. It was bread and butter. All right, guys. So group P&L here. Before I end this up, I do want to break this down to you guys. If you guys aren't already familiar with Collectors Club, of course, if you guys are new here, link will be in the description. Join that up, my 100% free, where I constantly put out Snowski forecasts of what I'm expecting the week to do, what I'm expecting price to deliver to. But guys, I want you guys to start thinking about this, okay? I broke down within the Snowski forecasts of the utilization of fractal power of 3s and how important they really are. Now, what do I mean by this? Fractal power of 3s, very, very important, are almost telling us on all different time frames what the markets are going to do, what they lack, what needs delivery, what lacks manipulation, what lacks distribution, right? Think of this. I broke it down in each of our fractal power of 3s, what the expectancy of each was going to be, right? So in our yearly power of 3 quarter, and this is going to start just putting things together. You guys are going to start picking up on this, and like what I'm trying to get at here is, I want you guys to reference this entire quarter so far. Ever since the year opened, quarter is referenced to 3 months, okay? Think about this entire quarter. What's it been doing? Mainly accumulating, right? We have been getting some nice volume, but think of this entire week. Think of this entire month. What's it been doing? Literally just high resistance. It's been choppy, consolidative. And now understand, this is not random, guys, okay? This is expected. Now, how exactly can we expect and assume that we're going to be in a high resistance condition for the remaining of the quarter? Now, obviously, coming into the remaining weeks, we are likely to get some nice volatility. I'm not going to be breaking that down in this video. I might be making another video tomorrow about that. That's just simply talking about repetition from last year's power of 3. But if we understand a yearly power of 3 I guess reference to QT, is going to have 4 quarters. It's going to either be AMDX or XAMD. Last year was AMDX. This year, obviously proven from the first 2 months and now being in the 3rd month, was obviously accumulation. So if function 1 dictates what the remaining quarters are going to do, it's very important to understand, what is our function 1 doing? Is it expanding or is it accumulating? We can obviously see that the first quarter of our year, the first 3 months, is accumulating, right? Meaning very likely to be high resistance, very likely to be choppy. So if we understand that, we can't necessarily assume that large moves in the market are going to occur, right? But the same thing with a quarterly power of 3 and a yearly power of 3. The monthly power of 3 does the exact same thing. So understand, we're in a new month right now, guys. We're in March. Okay, the week just finished. We're coming into the second week. If we were to look at our higher time frames to just simply get an outlook of, okay, what did this week specifically do? Weekly opening price, what did we do? We accumulated, specifically buy stops and sell stops in the market, right? So if function 1 dictates what the remaining quarters are going to do, we are very, very likely to engineer stops this week, manipulate, distribute, and expand. Now, understanding this, if our yearly quarter and our quarterly power of 3 are likely to be aggressively lower towards the clear draws below us for a yearly manipulation coming early, right now that's the study of time distortion. I won't be breaking that down too much. But if we understand that we're expecting lower delivery, we're very likely to assume higher prices next week. Now, why do I say that? If we are in the last the last month of our quarterly power of 3, our 3-month duration, we're in March. It means that if we accumulated stops and we're expecting open, high, low, close, we're expecting lower delivery for this month, we're very likely to get a manipulation above specific opening prices. Not only the monthly opening, but coming into a new week, the true month opening price. So what does this mean? We engineered buy stops and sell stops in the market. What do I want to see next week do? I want to see next week pump off of what? The bullish sensitivity that was proven inside of the market with the original consolidation low, right? We had SMT down here with OCL, with ES. We were just speaking about that. Bullish sensitivity off of OTE, the weekly range, considered rebalanced. Buy stops, I want to see us run them. Why? Because monthly opening right here, we're about to get true month opening right here when the new candle opens, and now we're going to be seeking higher delivery as a manipulation to our overall monthly power of 3. But specifically, we need to confirm the manipulation's complete before pretty much introducing a pivot, right? What does that mean? Cracking correlations. Specifically, if we're referring to monthly profiles, monthly cycle sequentials, that's where our eye jumps to. We want to see monthly cycle sequentials, which is week to week divergences. So if the high of last week is all the way up here, I want to see one of the correlated assets run that high. If NQ is proving to be the lacking asset here, and ES and YM are pretty much leading, below the market, I'm looking for NQ to do the damage. Engineered buy stops. I want to see us run these highs. That's a signified weekly manipulation. Now, obviously that can happen early in the week. That can happen the entire week, whatever that may be. My weekly profile on NQ specifically coming next week is likely to be open, low, high, close. Meaning we're not necessarily going to immediately spool. We might open, accumulate, manipulate a little bit lower back into the range, and then pump, right? Think of a weekly power play. They're all fractal. They have to have a manipulation, meaning possibly weekly cycle for a weekly power of 3. So we're likely to manipulate low and then distribute higher. Does not mean we're going to open and immediately spool. It could have happened, yes, but that's not necessarily what it means, right? All power of 3s are fractal. They're always going to be moving in sequence, and they're always going to be doing similar things. Meaning if a weekly power of 3 needs a manipulation, the monthly power of 3 is going to need one. If the weekly, well, the day is going to need one. They're all the same. All true opens need validations. All key open needs validations. If they don't, they're considered devil's mark. If they're devil's mark, they're considered draws. If they're not draws, they're considered weakness or strength in the market. Pretty confusing shit, huh? I understand. All right, guys. So I'm going to leave this here. If you guys aren't already part of Collectors Club, my 100% free Discord server, join that up, okay, guys? You guys will very, very much like these Snowski forecasts that I constantly break down for you guys. I post them randomly, whether that's in the morning, at night, recaps, upcoming delivery expectations, right? All these different things. Use the information to your disposal, guys, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your weekend, okay? Get ready, get your mind straight, and let's jump into a new week of manipulation for our monthly power of 3, and let's fucking kill it. All right, guys? So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and as always, I'll see you boys at the top. Peace.